and welcome to the Gone Traveling Podcast. We are looking at the BKT EuroCup, the 2025-26 season. This is episode 26. We are looking at the semifinals, the preview. Myself, David Hein, Hein News, and taking the charge Substack. And with me, as always, Marco Munno, communication specialist and collaborator with La Giornata Tipo. Marco, no hoops this week, but right around the corner. How you doing?
It's fine. I mean, we have to wait for the kind of ultimate showdown, more or less. So we're just getting a bit of a rest to be prepared to what's next.
Yeah, see which Turkish team makes it into the final against the second Turkish team, or does Bourges ruin the Turkish party? We'll have to see. As I mentioned, we're looking at the semifinals. The two semifinal matchups that we are looking at are Cosea Bourg-en-Bresse, JL Bourg-en-Bresse against Turk Telekom Ankara, and the other one is the Turkish Derby, the Istanbul Derby. I guess one of many, but Besiktas gain Istanbul against Bahcesehir College Istanbul. I guess let's start with the French against the Turks, Borg and Turk Telecom. So these two teams have played twice this in the regular season. Okay, we can of course throw them out the window. This is obviously different beast. Uh, Best of three, and Borg actually won two games already, so they're gonna have to win four out of five in order to make it to the finals. Borg won at home 88-80 back in round two in October, and then won 80 to 76 in Turkey in round 11 back in mid-December. I'll let you start with what you think about this matchup, and then when you're done, give me a pick.
Yes, we already said that into the regular season, Berg won both of the matches, but in the wins of Berg, Turk Telecom scored the second and the fifth of the third and the fifth of the most points to Berg in a Berg win. So even if Berg is known for its defensive effort, Turk Telecom showed that they can score against Berg. And on the other hand, we have Berg that have to make kind of an extra effort in the offense to take the win. And in the both cases, they were able to. We saw Turk Telecom, winning really at last moment um, against Apoel to go to qualify for those semifinals. So it shows their resilience. And thing is that you have to win an away game, and in this semifinal, it's really in another country. That's because you got Turkish against French, so you got really different, not really different, not only different environments, but also different countries. You have to travel and you have to go really away from your place with your fans, just away for sure. So, I think Berg showed consistency to deliver. And if I think about them, I think about
Consistency.
to their ability to deliver.
Mm.
And so they had to adapt into the two contests against Turk Telecom. They had to score a lot and rely less on their defense, because Turk Telecom has got the talent. And so I think as a whole, Burj show that they can really adapt to the situation in a lot of ways. So if I have to pick one, I will go with Burj.
And it's a best of three. So what do you say? How many games does it go?
2-1.
2-1 for Borg.
Yeah,
All
winning
right,
in game
so
three.
so this is number one defense against number two defense in points allowed. Turk Telekom number one. Just behind them is Borg at both of them at 60 at 76. Uh, Turk Telecom, looking through like the other stats on offense, neither team is really fantastic on offense. 83 points for 14th best is Borg, where you look at Turk Telecom and they're ninth best at 87. The only stat that kind of stands out for either team offensively is Borg's is Telecom, sorry, there's 2 point shooting percentage, 58.6%. That's number one in all of the Euro Cup. And neither of them, stand out otherwise. So, Turk Telecom really get the ball down low and are effective. Defensively, uh, Borg is number one in the defensive 3-point percentage. The teams are shooting only 30.6%. Turk Telecom doesn't really necessarily really rely on that. They shoot 35, almost 35%. And I mean, when you're shooting, like almost 59% on 2 pointers, obviously you don't need to go too, don't really need to go into the paint that much, go outside that much. But Turk Telecom allow the second fewest assists. They create the most turnovers. They're the third best defense as far as 2-point percentage, just a shade over 50%, and keep opponents to 32.2% on 3-pointers, which is the fourth best. So Turk Telecom, numbers wise, definitely has is a little more impressive on the defensive end. In my eyes, defensive battles, not only defensive battles, but in particular defensive battles, are decided by guards who can make plays. And you look at, Darius McGee, you look at Asim Moliere, okay, William McDowell-White, he had a big quarterfinal game. But, a lot of it's really Darius McGee. Whereas on the other hand, you have Jalen Smith, you got Kyle Allman, and and then you look, that's the one side, and then the other side, you also have in the low post. Okay, so Usher, on the forwards, Usher, I think kind of like um uh Usher kind of equals out with Bojkath, and Makoko's there as well, but you look at the bigs, and I do like Alexander Simovic better than Kokila and Vincent Mitchell. So I'm actually going mainly because of the guards and their ability to make plays, and especially Jalen Smith. I mean, this guy that played EuroLeague many many years, and in my eyes was an MVP of almost MVP of the league last year. And so I'm actually going with a sweep. I think they'll go to Borg. I think they'll go to France and they'll win the game in the first game. And then they're saying to themselves, "We're not going back to France. We're going to take this second game at home and then finish it off." So I actually have a sweep, and mainly, like I said, because of the guards. Thoughts on that? Do you want to combat any of it?
I don't know. I think Turk Telecom showed a lot of resiliency, even if when they got their down along the regular season and were able to back up and at the end be there at the semifinals, where when it was one of the team that was expected to be here, even if along the season you got some moments of doubts. So I'm at least giving one game to them.
Nope, not for me, baby. Um, just checking really quick, but I'm pretty sure that this is the case. But let me just check really quick. Da, da. Yeah, so you can't really necessarily say one, coaching advantage on one side of the end. Both of these coaches, Frederick Fatou and Adam Chen, they both led their teams, their clubs to the Euro Cup finals. So they both have that pedigree in them. Let's move over to the other one, the Turkish Derby. So they've played. Uh, they were in different groups, so they didn't play in the regular season. But Besiktas and Bahcesehir have played once in the Turkish league, and Besiktas won on the road, so at the Bahcesehir, 95-88. That was in mid-December. The return leg is actually just after the semifinal, what would be a third game semifinal. So they could face each other 4 times in a matter of 12 days. Um, I Besiktas is really one of the, we haven't really talked about their offensive firepower, that much. They're third in the league in scoring, second in assists, second in 2-point shooting, 58%, second in 3-point shooting, they're almost 40%. Defensively, they don't allow any offensive rebounds. They limit the impact inside, barely 50% through on 2-pointers. They do give up 3-pointers at 37%, almost 38%, which is 18th. On the other hand, Bahcesehir is 17th ranked in 3-pointers. So they're shooting just over 31%. So they're not a team that can really take advantage of that. Bahcesehir also doesn't commit force turnovers. They are both both defenses are strong in opponents' offensive rebounds. So offensive rebounds could be a big factor in this game. They are first. Bahcesehir is first in offensive rebounds on the offensive end. They're a great they're a great rebounding team in general, and they don't turn the ball over, Bahcesehir. And Besiktas doesn't necessarily create cause turnovers either. So all of that, what do you say? I mean, okay, mainly it's Besiktas's offense is fantastic, both inside and outside, and neither team really allows offensive rebounds. And the one weakness that the Besiktas defense does have is not necessarily an advantage for Bahcesehir. So looking at rosters, I'd say Malachi Flynn probably the best scorer in this matchup. But when you look at, Jonah Matthews, David Dotson, Matt Thomas, okay, he's not necessarily a scorer in the terms of creator. He's more of a shooter. Anthony Brown, all those guys can really score the ball. So I don't think that Malachi Flynn is gonna have take that much of an advantage. Of course, Jordan Ford can score, but he hasn't really, this isn't like a team that, he really can take over, that Hale can score, but I don't think that that there's a necessary offensive advantage for don't think there's necessarily a scoring advantage for the guards from Bahcesehir. And looking inside, you look at Ante Zizic, and I mean Zizic is in my eyes, also a front runner for first team all EuroCup. You got Morgan, you got Vito Brown, kind of got they got loads of weapons. So they also have Besiktas also have the fortress at home, where they haven't lost at home in the EuroCup. Uh, Besiktas is advancing. In my eyes, it's really only if they go 2-1 or if it's 2-0. I wrote down 2-1, so I'll stick to 2-1. But in my eyes, there's no way that this wouldn't surprise me at all, and then I'll let you go. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if Besiktas do sweep it, because whereas Besiktas is a tough road place to play, Bahcesehir is not. They don't have that let's call it rabid, that sort of crazy fan base, which you do have in Besiktas. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Besiktas go 2-0. But I'm gonna give, the likes of Malachi Flynn, Mitchell, Ponitka, Kavanaugh, because of the respect of those guys, I'm gonna say they take their home win. What say you?
Well, I think it's the battle of who's the most complete team, and I think you can see the advantage of Bahcesehir about guards and advantage of Besiktas about big men, not just because of one guy, but to the whole rotation that all both coaches can have into their front court or into their back court. So I think it's a matter of how they will be able to counteract the strength of the other team, and I think Besiktas is more equipped into their guards to contain the Bahcesehir guards than the opposite. So Bahcesehir can have much more trouble to instead to contain all the big men that are available on the Besiktas side. Also, you already pointed out the the atmosphere uh, uh, the atmosphere point that is also really meaning a lot in a Turkish derby. So in a derby, and I think you can have your guys just being pushed up by the fans, more driven more by the fans, given that all the players involved will have the same will to win and to advantage. But both teams were two of the favorites. Maybe if you will go to the beginning of the competition along with the Apoel. So you can be a bit of surprised if that is not the final, but this is the semi-final. But if you see the two teams along the season, Besiktas was really growing and growing. Instead, Başakşehir has really a strong start, but also has some stops. So I think consistency of Besiktas and also their the depth of their roster is a bit more than the Başakşehir one, and also they didn't play against each other into the regular season, but they played against each other into the um, the domestic league, and Besiktas won. It was December. It was really when the two teams doesn't have Sally or Thomas or Ford that were added to the roster, and also is really a different moment of the season, a different year, a different context, because maybe into the domestic league you can have not only injury but also some turnovers or something like that, because you have to match up your schedule with the schedule of the EuroCup, and you know that you want to go really deep into the EuroCup, so you can leave up something into the domestic league at the beginning of the year to be ready when things matter the most. But I'm going to give the edge to Besiktas as well. So, well, I would say really 2-0. And also that the thing is that Besiktas, okay, you cannot see them as unbeatable, but they already had one situation in which they were really close to get thrown out. That was the quarterfinal, and I don't think it will happen again and again and again. And also they won it. So at the end they were able to pick up the win as well. So I think they had enough fear to be really ready for the semifinal series, and with the home advantage, I think the pressure is on Başakşehir to try to steal one instead that them to win and go straight to the finals.
So preseason rankings for me, power rankings. Number 5 was Borg. Number 4, Turk Telekom. Number 3, Jerusalem. Number 2, Besiktas. Number 1, Bahcesehir. So kind of had a
So
kind of
you
had a
think
hint.
who's missing there, and also think is that the missing team was really from one shot. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also what that says is also it was pretty clear from the very beginning who was going to be the strong teams, and that's when you have to say is that the cream of the crop has risen to the top. I mean, it's been really impressive all season. What these guys have been able to do. Number 6, Sedevita. So not too far off. So logistically, so the first game is on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday, March 31st, and then Friday, April 8th, April 3rd, and then Tuesday, April 8th. That's Tuesday, right? April 8th? No, Wednesday. Sorry, Wednesday, April 8th. Wednesday, April 8th would be a game 5. Game 3, sorry. Get all confused here. So that is the schedule. Tuesday, Friday, Wednesday. Tuesday, Friday, Wednesday. Um, yeah. So we both picked Besiktas. You go for a sweep. I go for three games. You picked Borg 2-1, right? Yeah, 2-1.
Yes.
And I went for a Turk Telekom sweep. So one of us is going to be wrong on the Borg Turk Telekom matchup. Anything else? You know, Zizic was a question mark for a while. He obviously had a big game against Trento. I think this is a totally different matchup if Zizic isn't available to play, but obviously he is. Anything else in your eyes that kind of needs to be addressed slash talked about?
Well, just the hope that there will be no injury to affect the two matchups. I'm always rooting that the games will be with the teams at their full strength. So I think this is the thing is that I think it's so fair to all their season. In basketball that can be taken for granted, but I really hope that it will happen. So both all the teams at their full strength to um, fight for who will be the best one.
All right. With that, I totally agree. With that, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on all the social network, but mostly on X as Marco A Munno Munno.
And I am at Hein News, Heinnews, Heinnews. Marco, thanks a lot. Appreciate the time as always. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty. Four teams still dreaming of the making to the EuroLeague, and yeah, we'll see which two are left standing. We'll talk to you then. We're gonna wait until actually after the possible third game, so you're not gonna hear from us until next week, until the week after, so Thursday, um, April 9th. So don't expect one next week, even if it's a sweep. Where we are gonna wait until the week after to address this matchup. So enjoy the semifinals and we will talk to you before the finals. Thanks everybody. Talk to you soon.